A free cabin upgrade sounds like the best email you can get before a cruise. For a lot of travelers over 65, it is the opening move in a ruined one. The same is true of the cheap guarantee fare you grabbed and the upgrade you bid on and won. They all look like wins on the screen, and they are exactly how people end up in the worst cabins on the ship, the one under the nightclub, the one that shudders over the engines, the one a long, slow walk from the nearest elevator. And on a ship sailing full, you are stuck with that cabin for 7 nights with no real way to undo it. So I am going to take you through the cabin mistakes that quietly wreck cruises for travelers over 65 and exactly how to step around each one. A good few of these the cruise line is genuinely counting on you to make because the line is the one that profits when you do. Number one, the guaranteed fare. This is the single biggest cabin trap there is, and it is dressed up to look like a bargain. Here is how it works. Instead of choosing your exact cabin, you book a broad category: inside, ocean view, balcony, or suite, and you let the cruise line decide where they put you. You may not learn your actual cabin number until the day you board. Now think about who that arrangement is really built for. The line gets to fill the rooms careful travelers deliberately refused, the one under the nightclub, the one beside the crew door that bangs at 5 in the morning, the one stranded at the dead end of an endless hallway. Book a guarantee and you can land in any of them. For a 30-year-old, a long walk to the elevator is nothing. For someone managing a hip replacement, a cane, or a knee that complains by evening, that walk is the difference between strolling to dinner and dreading it. So pay the small difference and pick your own cabin. The guarantee is not always cheaper, and especially when you book early, it often is not. Plenty of experienced cruisers find they can choose a specific room for the very same price as the gamble. Compare the two every single time, and if naming your cabin costs a few dollars more, it is almost always money well spent. Number two is the one that arrives disguised as good news, which is exactly why it catches so many people. It even comes with a friendly name, the automatic upgrade. When you book, most lines opt you in by default to accept a free upgrade, and the box usually stays ticked because who on earth turns down an upgrade? Let me tell you what that upgrade usually is. It is rarely a gift. Far more often, it is the line shifting you into a pricier cabin they could not sell, frequently because that cabin has a problem, which conveniently frees up your nice, carefully chosen room to sell to somebody else. Cruisers describe being bumped out of a quiet, midship balcony they picked on purpose and into a bigger cabin directly under the pool deck where the staff drag lounge chairs across the floor at dawn. One family I came across booked 2 cabins next to each other so they could travel with their grandchildren, left the upgrade box ticked, and got moved to 2 rooms on different decks at opposite ends of the ship. Worse still, with an auto upgrade, you usually cannot decline and go back to your original room. The new cabin is simply yours now, problems and all. So when you book, hunt down the opt-out box and tick it, or tell your travel agent to strip the option out. Keep the room you chose for a reason. Number 3, close to your sailing date, an email lands inviting you to bid for a better cabin, and it feels like an auction you could win. But the cruise line sets the minimum bid, and the cruisers who actually run the numbers find those minimums are often the same as or higher than what it would have cost to just book that cabin outright in the first place. A couple I read about bid their way into a beautiful 2-level suite, felt like the smartest people on the ship, then worked out they had paid more than the plain sticker price. There is a second sting, too. When you win a bid, you usually still do not get to choose the specific cabin, so you can win the grade and land a dud room within it. Before you bid a single dollar, call the line and ask what a straight upgrade to that grade would cost. Set the 2 numbers side by side and only then make your call. Number 4, you assume a nicer cabin is out of reach, so you never even look at one, and that assumption quietly costs you. Cruise prices move constantly the way airline seats do, and that creates odd gaps. Sometimes balconies are in such demand that the jump from a balcony up to an entry-level suite is surprisingly small, while the suite hands you a bigger bathroom, a proper walk-in shower, and on some ships, a separate dining room with shorter waits. Comfort like that matters more at our age, not less. The trap is especially cruel to solo travelers, and a great many of you are cruising on your own now, by choice or after losing a husband or wife. The line charges a single supplement that can feel like a fine for traveling alone. Yet here is what one solo cruiser discovered. The dedicated single cabins were in such demand that a regular ocean view room, even after paying the full single surcharge, actually came out cheaper. So never assume the categories are worlds apart in price. When a sailing first opens, they can be, but as the ship fills those gaps, move around, and now and then they move in your favor. Always price the cabin one step up before you settle. Number 5 is a habit hardly anyone keeps after booking, and it quietly hands the few who do a better cabin for nothing. After you book, the price of your cabin grade keeps moving right up until you sail, and it often drops. Glance at it again now and then, because the people who never look are the only ones guaranteed to miss it. Set up a free fare alert and keep half an eye on what your category is selling for. If the fare for your grade falls below what you paid, call and ask to be moved up into a better cabin to match the new price. The lines are getting stricter about handing back cash, and some now write into the fine print that they will not match a lower fare once you have booked. But a falling price means the ship is not full, and an empty better cabin is something they would rather fill than leave dark. The word among frequent cruisers is that asking still works far more often than you would expect. Number 6, the front and the back of a ship move the most, and that is no small matter if your stomach is at all delicate. The bow lifts and drops into the swell, and the stern sways and shudders over the engines below. The views from the ends can be wonderful. But if you spend 2 days of a 7-day cruise lying flat with a churning stomach, that view was a terrible bargain. Motion tends to hit us harder as we get older, and it tangles badly with some of the medications many of us take. So book midship on a lower deck, which is the steadiest spot on the whole vessel, the same way the middle of a seesaw barely moves while the ends fly up and down. If you are still worried, pack your ginger chews or your wristbands and ask for a cabin where you can see the horizon, because a fixed point in the distance settles the stomach better than any pill. One more thing the booking page will not tell you. If you take a medication for motion sickness, the patches and tablets work far better when you start them the night before you sail, not after the queasiness is already set in. By the time you feel it, you are playing catch up. You trade a little prestige for a floor that stays put under your feet, and that is a trade anyone who has ever turned green at sea will take in a heartbeat. Number 7, picture the walk from your cabin door all the way to the dining room. On a big ship, the hallway alone can run longer than a city block, and your cabin might sit at the very end of it. Now picture making that same walk 8 times a day for a week, sometimes with tired legs, sometimes carrying a bag, sometimes after a long evening when all you want is to lie down. This is the cabin choice the brochure never mentions, and it is pure daily comfort. When you pick your room, open the deck plan and find the elevator banks. Aim for a cabin a short, reasonable distance from one, but not pressed right up against it, because the doors and the constant foot traffic by the lift bring noise of their own. An easy path to the elevator is one of those small decisions you will quietly thank yourself for every single day on board. Number 8, if you travel with a walker, a wheelchair, or a mobility scooter, a standard cabin can defeat you before you have even unpacked. The doorways are narrow, there is often a raised lip at the bathroom threshold, and the floor space beside the bed can be too tight to turn around in. The answer is the accessible cabin, which most ships offer, with wider doors, a roll-in shower, grab bars, and genuine room to move. Here is the part that catches people out. There are only a handful of these on any ship, and they go early, so the moment you know you need one, book it. Do not wait, and whatever you do, do not let a guarantee fare gamble away your shot at one. One more honest word on this. If you do not genuinely need an accessible cabin, please leave it for someone who does, because a traveler who truly relies on that roll-in shower has nowhere else to go. If your needs are real, claim it without a shred of guilt. That is exactly who it is for. Number 9, one cruiser described a room where the only quiet stretch of the entire night ran from 3 until 5 in the morning. She had booked directly beneath a venue and had no idea until the first night fell. This is the noise version of choosing your spot badly, and it robs you of sleep, which most of us guard far more carefully than we used to. 3 culprits cause the most grief. There is the cabin under the pool deck where the loungers get dragged around before 6. There is the cabin below a live music lounge where the bass rolls on past midnight, and there is the cabin under the buffet with its clatter and its rolling carts at breakfast. Heading any of that off costs you 2 minutes. Before you lock anything in, check the plan for what sits directly above and directly below your room. What you want is simple. You want other cabins as your neighbors on every side because sleeping passengers make the finest neighbors a person could ever ask for. Number 10, you pay extra for an ocean view, then open the curtain on the first morning to find a giant orange lifeboat hanging right outside the glass. This is the obstructed view, and it is a quiet little disappointment the booking page does not always make obvious. On many ships, certain cabins sit behind a lifeboat, a steel support, or a section of solid hull, so the view you paid a premium for turns out to be a wall of metal. For travelers who saved up specially for the romance of waking to the sea, that sting lands harder than the few dollars. Before you book a view cabin, look it up. The deck plan usually marks the obstructed ones, and a quick search of the exact cabin number often turns up photos and notes from people who stayed in it. Either pay a touch more for a clear view you will actually enjoy, or save the money and book a cheaper inside cabin on purpose. The one outcome to avoid is paying view prices for a lifeboat. Number 11, here is one that even careful cabin pickers walk right into because the smoke never stays where the smokers are. Every ship has its designated smoking spots out on the open deck, and most ships have a casino that allows smoking too. Book a cabin on the wrong side of those, or on a balcony a deck or two below them, and the smoke drifts straight to you on the breeze. You paid extra for that balcony, and now you cannot sit on it without a lungful of someone else's cigarettes. For anyone with a heart or breathing condition, and that is a great many of us by this age, that is not merely unpleasant, it is a genuine health problem. So before you book, find the smoking areas and the casino on the deck plan, the same plan you are already studying for noise and motion. Then put some real distance between them and your cabin, ideally upwind and well clear. The lines tuck those smoking zones into the deck plans without much fanfare, so you have to go looking, but 2 minutes of looking can save you a balcony you are actually able to breathe on. Number 12, the power strip tucked in your suitcase may never make it past the security scan, and a lot of travelers learn that the hard way at the gangway. Cabins come with very few outlets, so people pack a strip from home to charge the phone, the camera, and the tablet all at once. The catch is that the surge-protected kind, which happens to be the type most households own, is banned on the great majority of lines because the ship's electrical system can misread it as a fault and treat it as a fire risk. They confiscate it at embarkation and hand it back at the end of the cruise. What you want instead is a simple non-surge power strip or a plain USB charging block, and even those rules vary by line, so read your own line's list before you pack. Now, the part that matters most for our age group, and please do not leave this one to chance, if you use a CPAP machine at night, do not just show up and hope there is an outlet near the bed. Fill out the line's special needs or accessibility form before you sail and ask them to confirm an outlet within reach of the bed and to provide an extension cord. They do this all the time for medical equipment, but only when you arrange it in advance. Sort it in writing before you leave home, and it becomes a complete non-issue instead of a stressful first-day scramble. Number 13, you have probably heard the clever-sounding trick where you hang your good dinner outfit in the bathroom, run the hot shower, and let the steam drop the wrinkles out. It honestly does sound smart. It is also one of the quickest ways to set off your cabin smoke alarm because the detectors on a ship are deliberately tuned to a hair trigger. Crews treat any hint of smoke as the emergency it might become, so they never gamble on it. Instead of a quiet knock at your door, you get flashing lights, a wailing alarm, and possibly a security officer standing there while you explain yourself in a bathrobe. If you genuinely need the creases gone, hang the outfit during an ordinary shower with the door shut, not a deliberate steam session, or simply pack a small bottle of wrinkle release spray from home. Skip the homemade sauna altogether. Number 14, leaving the balcony door propped open for the breeze feels like the whole reason you paid for a balcony in the first place. The trouble is what it does to the room. On many ships, the cabin is wired so the air conditioning shuts down or struggles the moment that door slides open to save energy. Leave it open while you head off to lunch, and you come back not to a cool room but to a warm, sticky one that takes an hour to recover. That matters for sleep, and it matters even more on a hot itinerary if you feel the heat the way many of us do at this age. There is a comfort cost to that open door you will pay for at 2 in the morning, tossing in a humid cabin. So enjoy the breeze while you are sitting out there, then slide the door shut behind you when you come in. Treat it like the front door at home in July, not something you leave hanging open all afternoon. Number 15, the mini bar and the little snack tray are not the friendly freebies they look like. On a lot of ships now, the mini bar shelves have weight sensors, so a can or a snack that you merely pick up and put back can land a charge on your account before you have opened a thing. Move the bottles aside to make room for your own medications, jewelry, or a bottle of water, and you can get billed for items you never touched, then spend 20 minutes at guest services getting it reversed. Here is the clean fix that frequent cruisers swear by. On your first day, call your steward and ask them to empty the minibar completely. Now the fridge is yours. Your insulin or your eye drops or your evening snack have a cold home, and there is nothing left to charge you for by accident. While we are here, the robe and the fancy pillow are not souvenirs either. If you loved them, the gift shop sells new ones to take home. The ones in your cabin reappear on your final bill at a price that will startle you. Number 16, the connecting cabin can quietly ruin a quiet trip, and most people never notice the little door until it is too late. Many cabins are built as adjoining pairs with an interconnecting door between them so families can book both and open them up. Even locked, that door is a thin panel, not a real wall, and sound pours straight through it. Book one of those without realizing, end up beside a family with restless grandchildren or a couple who keep the television on all night, and your sleep is gone with nothing you can do about it. When you choose your cabin, look closely at the deck plan because connecting cabins are usually marked often by a small symbol between the two rooms. If quiet is what you are after, and at our age it usually is, pick a cabin that does not share one of those doors. It is the kind of detail nobody thinks to check until the first sleepless night teaches them. Number 17, the plumbing on a ship works nothing like the plumbing back at your house. It runs on a powerful vacuum system, and it is genuinely fussy about what goes down it. The only things it wants are what nature provided and the thin ship's toilet paper. That rules out tissues, paper towels, cotton balls, and the big one, wipes, including the ones the package solemnly promises are flushable. On a ship, they simply are not. They do not break down quickly enough, and they jam the line. I will be honest with you because plenty of us at this stage rely on wipes for perfectly good reasons, and there is no embarrassment in that at all. Just drop them in the bathroom bin rather than the bowl. A single bad flush can back up the system for your whole stretch of hallway. Crews still tell the story of one passenger whose flush knocked out the toilets for 9 other cabins at once. Do not let that be your cabin or your morning. Number 18, the thing most worth locking away in your cabin is not your cash, it is your medication, and that is the one people leave sitting on the bathroom shelf. Picture losing track of your blood pressure pills or your heart medication 1,000 miles from your pharmacy. That is a genuine problem where a missing $20 bill is merely an annoyance. So put your medications and a written list of your prescriptions into the in-cabin safe along with your passport, your spare cash, and any jewelry you brought. It takes about half a minute to set a code. Your cabin is reasonably secure, but it is not a vault, with the steward in and out and maintenance occasionally needing to step in, and the odd item does get swept into a laundry bag by honest accident. While you are at it, snap a photo of every prescription label with your phone, so if a bottle does go missing, the ship's doctor knows exactly what you take and at what dose. Lock away what you could not easily replace at sea, your pills first of all, and then let yourself stop thinking about it. Number 19, the cabin door locks itself the very instant it swings shut behind you, and that simple fact catches people out constantly. You step into the hall for a bucket of ice, or to pull the morning schedule off the door handle, or to chase down a grandchild who bolted, and the door clicks shut with your key card sitting on the nightstand. Now you're standing in a long, bright, busy corridor, possibly in your robe, walking the whole way to guest services to prove who you are. It is a small thing, but an undignified one and completely avoidable. Make it an iron habit. Your key card goes into your pocket before your hand ever touches that handle, even when you are certain it will only be 5 seconds. Number 20, 2 quick habits here, both about protecting your privacy and your dignity. First, hang the Do Not Disturb sign before you shower or change, because without it, your steward may reasonably assume the room is empty and walk straight in mid-towel. Flip it to makeup room when you head out so you actually return to fresh towels. Second, whenever the ship is tied up in port, draw your curtains before you undress. From the pier, and from the ship docked right alongside yours, people can see into a lit cabin far more clearly than you would ever believe. 2 seconds of curtain spares you from becoming an unexpected feature in a stranger's holiday photographs. Number 21, and this is the one I most want you to carry with you because it can rescue a trip that all 20 others could not. So many of us were raised never to make a fuss. If your cabin has a genuine problem, a banging noise at all hours, a foul smell, an air conditioner that quit, a real situation with a neighbor, do not grit your teeth and suffer in silence just to seem agreeable. Report it calmly and clearly to guest services or the hotel director. The lines quietly know which of their cabins are the troublesome ones, and experienced cruisers report being moved to a better room far more easily than they ever expected, often that very same day. One traveler on an expedition voyage had an awful banging noise in his cabin, raised it politely with the hotel director, and was promptly moved to a fine room with no drama at all, as were the neighbors suffering the very same problem. Being firm and polite is not the same thing as being difficult. It is simply being a passenger who paid for a decent night's sleep and fully intends to get one. The crew can only fix the things they actually know about. So there you have it. The cruises that get ruined by a cabin are almost never ruined by chance. They are undone by a guarantee fare nobody compared, an upgrade nobody opted out of, a deck nobody checked on the plan, and a problem nobody bothered to report. None of that asks you to become a cruise expert. It asks for 10 unhurried minutes before you book, a good look at the deck plan, the right boxes ticked, the right power strip packed, and the nerve to speak up if something is wrong. Do those few things and your cabin slips quietly back into being what it should be, the steady, comfortable, almost forgettable base you barely notice while you enjoy everything else the ship has to offer. Here is my one favor to ask. If you have cruised before, name a cabin you regret. Put the deck, the location, or the cabin number you would never book again down in the comments and say what earned it that spot. Somebody scrolling this video before they book will dodge a bad week because you took the time.